Everyone, this is my Olympia Progress from circa 1950, so 70 years old. An absolutely beautiful machine that I bought recently on a flea market called Obkirchergasse in Vienna, where the whole street has a huge flea market. And I was really determined to try not to buy any more machines at the moment, but this is number 13. It was an absolute steal because at €20, how could I not buy it? It's in the most amazing condition, including the baseboard. It looks like somebody's barely used it. I'm going to do a separate video on this one day, just do a quick overview of it because it's absolutely immaculate. But when I bought it, the only thing, the case is again in remarkable condition. It's amazing, really good condition, no real scuffs, nice and clean. The base is nice and clean, a couple of scuffs, but there's no rust on it at all. Inside the case, you can see a couple of little scuff marks here and there on this side, on the back of it. It's just the paper's got a slight scratch, but the actual integrity of the case is in brilliant condition. The only thing that needs working on is the handle. You can see it's slightly separated. The stitching's come undone, so I'm going to attempt now to re-stitch that, which will bring all that together. I'm not going to try and squeeze glue in the middle of it because I don't know, it might impact me getting needles into the right holes, so I'm going to have to stitch it in situ. I can't take the handle off, and I'm not going to take the case apart for that, so I'll come back to you when I finish. Let's see. I have got this really nice waxed thread here, which I think is a really great match for the colour, potentially, and a little pouch of needles that I've got made in here. So let's get to work and see if we can fix this handle. So I've been looking at the options for how I'm going to stitch this handle, and of course the problem that I have is that this area is very, very close to the handle here, to the actual case. So I had a quick look at some very small needles that I've got, which, could work if I saddle stitch it, but I think it would be very difficult when I get to this area here. So I think my solution could either be using these kind of, I think they're almost like upholstery type needles, which I think could work quite well. Where's the point on this one? As you can see here, I could get all the way through and push the needle through and up this way. So I could stitch this using saddle stitch, which I like because it's stronger. And the other alternative is always to possibly use a stitching awl. Using a stitching awl, though, you would get what's called a lock stitch, which is very similar to this one. A lock stitch is like what you see on a sewing machine, so that when something breaks, and this is very weak, this cotton here, so as you pull it, in fact it's falling apart here, when you pull on an end like that, you can see everything comes undone, which is why it's weaker than a saddle stitch. So when I stitch this, it's only going to be for cosmetic reasons. This is clearly not strong enough anymore. So I think I would like to try and have a go. I'm going to do it on one side using a pair of these needles to get in and under the handle, and use that nice strong polyester thread that I've got, and I will pull all this off. The frustrating thing is I might cut this here. I pulled it all off to the end there, but really if I had kept a piece there and stitched it from there, I could have stitched over the existing stitching that was inside the handle here, because I pulled it right out there. That probably wasn't my best idea. So again, if I stitch it, I'll double stitch over the stitches there, but all of this lower stuff will come off as well. This is really, really fragile and weak, so I might just snip it off there and start double stitching from there onwards. So I'll come back and we'll see how that goes. First time I've done something like this in situ, so it's trial and error, but let's see how it goes. Okay, so the difficult part is over, thankfully. I realised that when I really pulled on the handle, I could pull out a little bit more of the handle through here, and I've been able to backstitch up to this level here. It was tricky, I'm not lying, getting this one through. Oh gosh, I can't do anything left-handed. So getting this U-shaped needle through there was not a problem. The difficult bit was getting the other needle back through the same hole, but I just about managed it, and there's not going to be a problem until I get back round to there. But I think it's going to stitch very well, and it'll look very neat when it's finished. But yeah, a little bit tricky. I've put got a tiny little cutting board, and I've put that through the back there just to protect the case, which is in a great condition. I don't want to be stabbing the front of the case, and I could not have done it without my handy little long nose pliers there. So to pull the needle through, because it's really difficult gripping this funny shaped needle. I've never actually stitched anything in leather using this before, but in this particular job I think I couldn't have done it without it. I really didn't want to use a lock stitch with the stitching oil, because I think this is going to be way stronger. So I shall persevere and hopefully get to the other end and show you the first row finished. So you can see it's progressing very nicely. I've got the angle and I'm able to get the needle in behind, and again one-handed, sorry about one-handed filming, but you can see once it's out this tight, it's really easy to just pull it tight. So it's actually producing a nice neat stitch. I am using very small awl to make the hole a little bit bigger before I put the needles in and make sure I locate everything well. But yes, I'm really pleased it's coming on well. The challenge is going to be when I get back down to that tight end, but it's going along quite nicely at the moment, so I'm quite happy with that. So again, hopefully when I get to the end I'll stop and show you. So that's the top row stitched, and you can see it holds all that internal structure nice and tight. Went slightly awry there when the needle coming back made its own little hole just below the original, but that's okay. The next step now is to just work on the underside, where you can see it's there you go, it's coming apart. So that's the next step. But I'm very pleased with how it turned out. It's coming out very nicely and it's much stronger now. Okay, let's have a look at the end. So I have an extra pair of hands now, so I can just demonstrate how I'm tackling this section here. So I'm using an awl just to get the hole a little bit wider, and I found it easier to thread because this one is blind. I can't really see here. It's to feed this needle through on this side first. Hope I can get it in there now. You can see. Then I'm pulling it in that direction. Normally I wouldn't do my saddle stitch this way, but I'm doing it this way so I get a consistent stitch. And then that goes back through the same hole there. Try not to stab myself. So this takes quite a bit of tension to pull this handle out as well at the same time. Pull that tight, but not too tight, because you don't want to cut into the old leather behind it. And then I just continue to repeat that process there, so you can see it's bonding and holding it all together quite tightly. The tricky bit is definitely getting near the end, because the angle of the needles is much trickier and awkward, but it is doable. So with the case being upside down like this, I've had to put a heavy book in there and lean it on a cushion, otherwise it's too wobbly. But it's coming along really nicely and it's nearly finished, and I should do a final video when it's all done. So that's the finished product. The case has had a nice little bit of neutral shoe polish spray sprayed over it. As you can see, really happy with how the handle turned out. It was tricky, I'm not lying. I really needed an extra pair of hands to finish the stitching off. one little stitch there that went awry, but there's worse things that can happen there. So overall, I'm very, very happy with it. It's kept the structure of the handle nice and strong again, and I'm sure that will last, I hope, another 70 years. But the thing about all these old black machines that I have, I'd never carry them really by the handle now, except to get it into a bag. And if I was going to transport it, it would be in a separate bag. But I hope you think that was worth demonstrating, and good luck if you ever want to have a go at stitching a handle in situ. It is doable, albeit a little bit fiddly. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that. Bye.